Stop me if you've heard this before. Tiger Woods making yet another comeback alongside Bob Weeks. Tiger Woods makes his 2024 PGA Tour season debut this week at the Genesis Invitational. Let's get starting with this week first. In your mind, what would make this week a success for Tiger?
You know, I think if he finishes, say, inside the top 30, this is a pretty deep field. These are the best of the best. It's a signature event. So I think if he finishes in the top 30, let's say he gets to 10 under par, double digits, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. He's played well in this golf course before. He has never won this tournament, which is actually more of a surprise. But I do think that, you know, I'm feeling perhaps the most positive about a comeback from Tiger Woods than any of his 30 or 40 past comebacks. I think we kind of know a little bit about what to expect. We've had the tease down at the Hero World Challenge, and I think you kind of can see what his swing is built on now. It's a lot of upper body. It's a lot of pull with the front foot as opposed to push with the back foot. And we've seen what he's capable of doing. We've seen some shots. We've seen some putts. It's going to be a little bit of tournament rust. That's something that he's going to have to shake off. And I think it's also just trying to find a groove. So you may see him get better as the week goes on, presuming that he makes the cut. But I'm optimistic of what we're going to see.
I'm looking forward to seeing Tiger this week, too. Like you mentioned, knock off some of that competitive rust. Is there one area in particular, Bob, that you're really watching for Tiger this week?
You know, I would say that most people might think, well, let's see what his full swing is like and see how he handles that stiff foot. But I'm not so worried about that. I think going back to the competitive rust thing that we've been talking about here is, you know, it's those touch shots. It's the shots around the green. It's some of those lag putts. It's if he does consistent speed with his putter. You know, those are the kind of things. It doesn't matter if you're coming back from an injury, you're coming back from 6 months of vacation or whatever it is. Those are the kind of things that always take a little bit of time to find some groove, to get into a bit of a sink. So I'm going to be looking at those more so than pretty much anything. You know, we've seen him have trouble with the wedges before, and he's able to self-correct. So if he does have a little bit of a blip, again, it may get better as the week goes on.
Bob, one thing in particular I'll be looking at is his short game, his chipping, and 5 of his last 6 starts. Since that car accident, he's lost shots to the field in strokes gained around the green. Obviously, in years past, he did struggle with his chipping big time, seemed to get it back, but that's really that area of competitive rust where Tiger has seemed to struggle in the most, in my mind. Now, a hot topic of conversation throughout this entire season will be the walk. Now, for those who haven't been to Riviera, how challenging of a walk is it?
It's not challenging. It really isn't all that challenging, to be perfectly honest. There's 2 big hills. One you got to come down, and that's after your opening tee shot. You got to walk down into the valley, and you walk basically some rolling hills, but it's nothing too big. And the worst climb is probably after you putt out on 18, which does have a bit of a slope. You got to walk uphill to the 18th green, but there's like 60 steps you got to walk up to get to the clubhouse after you're around and sign your scorecard. And that might be the most tiring uphill. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. It's going to be interesting. It's normally cool in the morning there when he tees off. You know, he's got a morning tee time, I think about 9:30 on his opening round, but it's the weather will be predictable, and I don't think he'll be surprised by it. He's going to be able to dress for it. But I think by the end of the week, we'll be careful to see how that leg holds up as he moves along.
And Tiger seemed pretty bold at the end of 2023 when he said his goal for this year, 2024, was to play 1 tournament a month. Bob, do you think that's actually realistic?
Yeah, I do. I actually think, I think he's in as good as physical health as we can expect. He's certainly a lot better since he's had that fusion in the foot. And I think 1 a month is pretty realistic. He's told us ever since the car accident, look, I'll never play a full schedule ever again. That's not going to happen. He doesn't want to be ceremonial either. He wants to be able to compete. But I think 1 a month is pretty realistic when you consider plays 4 days, practices, whatever, and then he takes 3 weeks off, and then he gears up and gets ready again. So I think this is a pretty good schedule. I think you'll see him play the 6. I don't think you'll see him play anything after the Open Championship, unless somehow, by miracle, he makes it onto the President's Cup team. I do think you might see him in Montreal as some kind of a alternate coach or some guy who's going to be there. I think he wants to have a part in that. But I think 6 tournaments is pretty good, and probably about as much as he can handle right now.
Well, Bob, we were both in just outside the New York area back when Tiger was an assistant captain for the U.S. back in 2017. And we know what happened after that. And for Tiger Woods, obviously right now, he has 82 career PGA Tour victories, tied for the record along with Sam Snead. Now, given that he wants to play this schedule, playing these tournaments against the best competition, why doesn't Tiger say, you know what, I'm going to play a quote-unquote easier tournament, maybe to have a better chance to get that win? What do you think, Bob?
That's just not who Tiger is. Tiger doesn't want to play in the minor leagues. He wants to be up with the big boys. Those are, first of all his buddies and all his pals. And he wants to go against the best. He still thinks he can play against the best, and to some respects he can. And I think he likes playing in the major championships. I mean, listen, in 2019, he pulled off the miracle. He, I think, deep inside believes that perhaps, maybe, somehow, some way he can pull something out. But I think he wants to play in the biggest events. I think he still feels he can be competitive. He is 48. He is, held together by paper clips and screws and bolts like Frankenstein's monster. But I still think he likes the challenge of playing the toughest courses against the deepest fields.
Well, looking forward to seeing Tiger Woods throughout the season. But before we wrap here, Bob, Tiger debuting Sunday Red this week at the Genesis Invitational. What do you think of the new look, man?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Listen, he owns it now. I think it'll be a little weird because we've seen him in the swoosh for, 27 years or whatever it's been. And now we're going to see him in the little Tiger with the 15 stripes. But good for Tiger. You know what? Why not? He's earned the right to have his own brand, and I think he's kind of proud of it, to be honest with you, judging by the reaction I saw at the press conference. So it will look a little different, though, for sure.
Well, all eyes will be on Tiger Woods this week, debuting a new look. But we should point out the last time he finished in the top 10 at Riviera, all the way back in 2004. Bob, thanks for this.